Welcome to today's video. My name is Madelon Vos and this is Madelon Talks. Today we'll discuss the most important macroeconomic and Bitcoin related news of the week. And in this week's video, we're going to dive deeper into the problems that are evolving underneath the surface in China. One of the problems has something to do with a very large real estate developer called Evergrande. And we're going to dive deeper into detail in this video. And we're also going to take a look about the fact that China is trying to ban Bitcoin again. But the big question right now is this huge or isn't it? Do we need to take this serious? And there are some rumors that we need to discuss around this China thing as well. So we're going to dive deeper into that. Of course, we're going to take a look at inflation and the things that might happen in the near future when it comes to rising prices. We are also going to take a look at some data from Glassnode, some very interesting data when it comes to on-chain analysis. And we're going to do some technical analysis at the end of this video, so make sure to wait until the end so you can see the technical analysis as well. Also, I would like to ask you, if you like this video, please press the thumb upward so that more people will see this content. Thank you very much for pressing the like button. Right now, I'm going to put myself in the right corner of this video. And if you aren't subscribed to this channel yet, make sure to do so by clicking on the red subscribe button down below. It's completely free, by the way, so don't hesitate. And we're going to start this video with the tweet from Peter Bookfair, and he's tweeting about Costco's conference call. And you probably know that big companies are doing a conference call in which they're explaining what their vision is for their company and blah, blah, blah. So Costco did a conference call, but there are also other companies that are having issues with the near future when it comes to labor costs, when it comes to freight costs, when it comes to transportation. And they're expressing these problems that might evolve in the near future. So Costco did this, but Nike did this as well. But we're going to dive deeper into what's going on exactly. Because in the conference call, Costco said that inflationary factors like higher labor costs, higher freight costs, higher transportation costs, along with shortage, with port delays, with an increased demand in different kinds of products, categories, and various shortages of everything from computer chips to oils to chemicals can cause big problems. They're saying that it's not a lot of fun right now. They're expecting inflation to hit the van. That's exactly what they're saying over here. Price increases on items shipped across the ocean. Some suppliers of us are paying 6 times more for container shippings. So this means that these products, these final products, will become more expensive. And we've been discussing this for months and months and months. This will be taken into account in the final product, in the price of the final product. And of course, the margin for companies like Costco is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, because if the price of, let's say, oil is increasing 8%, then the end product won't increase 8%. The margin for these kinds of companies will get smaller, and they will also bring like 4% or so, or maybe even 2% into account into the price of the final product as well. So this is not transitory. This is not what transitory looks like. And you probably know that Jerome Powell from the Fed said, this is going to be completely okay. It's going to be transitory. In the end, everything will be fine. And of course, in the end, everything will be fine. But still, the products are becoming more and more expensive, and we can see this coming right now. So if you want to buy something, don't wait, buy it. And if you are thinking about saving money in the bank, that's not what you should do, because if you're saving money in the bank, your purchasing power will decrease really, really fast. when it's 5% a year, if inflation is 5% a year, only 5%, it's probably way more. But when it's like, if we take a look at the official figure, it's going to be 5%. Then in 10 years, your purchasing power will be 50% less. So keep that in mind. If you want to buy something, just buy it. If you want to save money, make sure to invest it elsewhere. And then we had this tweet from Jesse Felder, and Jesse Felder is tweeting about the Evergrande problem. And last week we've been discussing what's going on at Evergrande. If you want to take a look at that, make sure to take a look at that video, because I've explained everything that's going on right now over there. But to make the long story short, there is a real estate developer in China that doesn't have enough money to pay their interest, for example, or to pay to create the houses that they are planning to make. They don't have enough liquidity. That's what's going on right now. And this is a huge problem for the Chinese economy, because this is the biggest real estater in China. And this is compared with a Lehman Brothers 2.0. And the big question was, is the People's Bank of China willing to nationalize this company and willing to buy these houses projects? What did Evergrande do? Evergrande was trying to sell all the houses they had in their portfolio, dumping them on the market. And what does this do with the prices of real estate? They will decrease. All the real estate will decrease in price when it comes to China. So this is a big one, a really big one. And right now, we do know that they have had contact with some banks that they needed to pay, and that the bank said, okay, we will just wait. It's fine. We will arrange a new contract. But they're having more payment dates in the near future, also in 2022. So this can take quite a while before they are going to collapse. And it all depends on People's Bank of China starting to nationalize this company, or saying, okay, you made a complete mess, just go bankrupt. But as we know, China wouldn't do that. Probably wouldn't. They wouldn't do that. But there is a very big risk, and 30% of the GDP of China is at risk right now. And the Chinese economy is more vulnerable to a real estate bust than either America's or Japan's was when their bubble bursts. So we've had the GFC in 2008, when the credit crisis bursts in America, and housing prices decreased very fast, and a lot of people turn out to be homeless. And in Japan, we saw this happening in the 1980s or so. And right now, China is at a way higher risk than America and Japan were at that time. So you probably see how big this might be. So we're going to take a look at this. We keep an eye on what's going on over the next coming weeks. This can take weeks, this can take months, this can take half a year or so. But we need to keep this in the back of our mind. I don't know. We keep this in mind. Yeah, we keep this in mind. And we will stay in China right now, because there is another thing that is evolving over here. China power crunch is the next economic shock after Evergrande. And Evergrande is big. Evergrande might be even bigger than we saw Lehman Brothers collapsing in 2008. But there's something else starting underneath the surface. And this has something to do with Peter Bookvaer's tweet about Costco, and they were talking about the fact that they had to deal with higher labor costs, with higher freight costs, with higher transportation costs. But on the other hand, we have something else going on, and this is where it becomes a structural problem. There might be a shortage of coal and gas. So we have the demand side, but we also have the supply side. And here we might see that there is a lot of demand but not enough supply. And what does that with prices? Prices start to increase. So right now there are some signs that there might be a power crisis starting, and this will affect homes as well as businesses in China, starting in China, but this might hit the whole financial world. So we're going to take a look at this. Keep this in mind, together with this tweet from Peter Bookfair, together with this whole Evergrande thing. There are 3 things that might hit the fan. So we will keep this in mind. This is really interesting. This is not something to worry about really badly, but we will keep in mind and see what will happen next. Another thing that's going on in China is the China ban. China is trying to ban Bitcoin again in a regulatory action announced on September the 15th. The People's Bank of China said that they are willing to further crack down on cryptocurrency transactions made via foreign exchanges as well as mining. So what they're doing or trying is banning Bitcoin right again. They've been trying this over and over and over again. You probably heard about the fact that in 2013, they tried to ban Bitcoin. In 2017, they completely did the same. In the beginning of this year, or in the beginning of summer this year, they tried it again, and right now they're releasing a statement that they are willing to do this again. And one of the very early investors in Bitcoin in the Netherlands was Mark van der Scheijs. He was the owner of Hut 8 Mining, and he's lived in China from, I think it's 20s or so, and he's still going to China really often. I think he lived there 15 years. I'm not even sure, but he's a China expert. I see him as a China expert. And we saw Bloomberg tweeting about the fact that China's central bank says overseas cryptocurrency exchanges must not provide services to mainland investors. Mainland China is China. It's not Hong Kong. And all these cryptocurrency related activities are illegal. And Mark van der Scheijs said, China bans Bitcoin part 227. The big question is, do we have to take this serious right now? What will happen next? Because we know that a lot of people in China are just using VPNs to get access to their Bitcoin. And someone is asking him, can you please provide some of your views, Mark? What do you feel about this? Mark says, nothing changes in my honest opinion. Markets overreact, but in a week, everybody has forgotten about this again. And I completely agree with him. But then this rumor came around the corner. According to his website, China currently holds almost 200,000 Bitcoin. And then people said, oh, they're trying to ban Bitcoin, but they're still really interested in holding Bitcoin and blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, this is not really the case. I'd hoped that China owned Bitcoin, but I don't think that this is completely true. This is from the website of Kevin Rookie, and he has a sheet of who holds Bitcoin. And as you can see, the Chinese government holds almost 200,000 BTC. And we're going to take a look at this source. This source said that the Chinese police have seized 4.2 billion in crypto from Plus Token Ponzi crackdown. Okay, but what does this say? Does this say a thing? Besides the fact that they've seized cryptocurrencies? I don't think so. In the Netherlands, when the government seizes cryptocurrencies or cars or boats or whatever, houses, they have to sell it. So I know that in the Netherlands, the government has 2 weeks to sell their seized cryptocurrencies to a Dutch broker. And the broker buys it at a lower price and then sells them again. So that's what usually happens when the government seizes crypto wallets. And I think that the Chinese government does the same. I don't see why the Chinese government would hold 200,000 BTC. But we will see if this is true, but I won't be very happy about this. If you want to know what the real data is right now, countries that own Bitcoin that we know of are El Salvador, Georgia, Ukraine, and Bulgaria. And these 3 ones are countries that hold Bitcoin because they've seized it and still hold it. We know that they are still holding it. So keep that in mind where you're seeing hyping tweets about this ongoing. And I wanted to show you this tweet from Jack Madler sitting in his apartment, showing the world how easy, instant, free it is to do a global payment with the interrogation of the API from Strike on Twitter. So you can tip someone on Twitter with Bitcoin using Lightning for no fee. It's completely free. And this is actually so interesting. This video has been watched 2.3 million times, and I will show it to you.
Yo, we're here in Chicago, and we've got David here in a Starbucks in El Salvador. David has his Strike account linked to his Twitter account, and we're gonna make a free, instant cash final remittance payment over Twitter. So I'm gonna go search David's Twitter account on my phone. I'm gonna find his tips button, and I'm gonna send David $10 over Twitter for changing the world. It's gonna open my non-custodial Lightning Moon wallet. Anyone in the world can download, and I'm just gonna hit send. And boom. We just made an instant free remittance payment from Chicago, Illinois, USA to San Salvador, El Salvador.
So this is so interesting, so great to see that it's free, instant, global, all around the world. You can do a transaction when using Lightning with your simple Moon wallet, which is non-KYC. You can, by the way, also use your Blue wallet if you want to, using the Lightning part of Blue wallet. But Moon wallet is really easy to install. This is not sponsored, by the way. I'm not getting paid to say this, but it's really interesting to see that this is what he's doing. He is actually changing the world. And we were in Miami when he was standing at stage and almost crying about the fact that he did this. And in 3 weeks after El Salvador officially made Bitcoin a legal tender, 2.1 million El Salvadorian people had a Bitcoin wallet on their phone. And in all the years, all those people were living in El Salvador, only 1.2 million people had access to a bank account. So that's what Bitcoin did in 3 weeks. It's insane. It's nuts. That's what I wanted to show you. And if you think, how can he do this via Twitter? You can now get paid in Bitcoin to use Twitter. Twitter will now allow users to tip their favorite creators on their social network using Bitcoin. And the company announced this with the feature that's called tips. So you can do this as well. You can tip your favorite creator or whatever you want. I did not yet do this because I don't like to get tips, but I think I definitely should do this because it's about Bitcoin and it's really interesting. So I'm super hyped and super excited about the fact that this is what's happening. By the way, if you want to get tipped using Lightning, put your Twitter account down below and I will make sure to tip and send a tip and show you how easy it is. We're going to take a look at this interesting chart from Glassnode. And this is a chart showing the short-term hodler supply in profit and loss. And we also see the long-term hodlers distribution. And if you take a look at the short-term hodlers, we see that these are the tops. So over here, the short-term hodler supply is 40%. Over here, we had a top around 30%. And usually when we have a low around 20% of the short-term hodlers, that's when we are in this distribution phase or in this consolidation phase in which we're building momentum to have a new rally upwards. And as you might see, we're now hitting that 20% short-term hodler supply, and we might see a month, 2 months of downside movement, downward movement when it comes to the short-term hodler supply, and then we might see a new upward trend. This is the upward trend, this is the upward trend, and as you can see, the market is moving combined with the short-term hodler supply. So that's quite interesting. We need to take this into account. We have another bullish on-chain analysis as well. And this is the trend accumulation score by cohort. You've probably heard about this. And if this hits 1, then we see dark blue boxes or light blue ones. And that means that we're in an accumulation phase. Those blue tones are starting again. Last week we saw this starting again. And this means that we might see some accumulation and afterwards the price of Bitcoin increasing. So we've had this period of red cohorts, and right now we might see some new blue ones, and that might indicate that we're going to see a next upward move. But this might take a while. This might take a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months to do so. If we take a look at the stock to flow model, then you see that this movement looks like this movement. And here we had the low of this short-term uptrend around the 10th of July, 10/7. Over here, we had it around, I think it was 27. And we hit a low right before moving into the uptrend around the end of October. So right now we could see in the middle of October, if this could be this rally, then we could see that in the middle of October, maybe even the end of October, or maybe even the middle of November, I must say the middle of November, that this price might rally upward again. So let's wait 1 month, because then this will mean that plan B is completely right. If we take a look at this short-term hodler perspective, if we take a look at this going into the dark blue zone and combined with the stock to flow model, this means that we might see a decrease for a couple of more weeks, but then we must see an increase again. I will put myself over here. Then we can see that this, let's say it's going to be the 14th of November or so. Then it looks completely the same as this movement, and afterwards we will see an upward increase. So this is what we're going to take into account for now. We're not sure what's going to happen next, but we will take this into account, and it looks quite bullish. Not for the short term, but maybe for the long term conditions. I will show you some fractal analysis right before we dive deeper into the chart. You probably know that usually when I do some fractal analysis, there's not a lot to see. I did this last week in my Dutch video. I wanted to show you that charts move in cycles, and history doesn't repeat, it rhythms. It sometimes looks quite the same. And when it comes to Bitcoin, you can see the same movements on different kind of time frames. So take a look at this movement, upward, downward, upward, downward. We're seeing this movement over here as well, upward, downward, upward, downward. Then we're seeing a short-term all-time high. We can say that we're seeing this short-term all-time high as well. Then we move downward again. We move downward again in two parts. Then we hit this all-time high. This is a short-term all-time high. Afterwards, we move downward. We move upward again. We move downward. We move upward again. This high was lower than this one, but higher than this one. This high was lower than this one, but higher than this one, which is so interesting. And afterwards, we saw this decrease. Now we're seeing this, and this is quite new because we haven't seen this before. So it it did almost completely the same, and I already saw this at the end of August. It looks so familiar, and we're going to take a look at a 4-hour chart because right now we're moving in this some sort of pattern, and fractal analysis does work until you see a new pattern evolve. This might look like a falling wedge. We broke out of this short-term trendish something, not really looking like a short-term trend. I'm not sure. This is way too short. Only 2 points that are touching. It's not really working, but it looks like this falling wedge-ish pattern or a downtrend, just a simple downtrend. If we hit this upward trend line, resistance line again, this can be a simple downtrend. But as you can see, there is some higher volume evolving right now. And usually the volume has to confirm the trend. So if the volume goes upward, we want to see an upward trend as well. Right now we're seeing that this volume is way higher than it was over here when the trend was still running upward. But we're not seeing that the price is moving. And if this really is a falling wedge or something that looks like a falling wedge, this means that we're going to break out upward. But this can take quite a while. This can take until the, let's see, 15th of October. And if we keep in mind that we just saw this, turning bullish, this, and this, then it looks so bullish. The complete picture for Bitcoin looks so bullish, even though we know that we might see a new low. So keep in mind, we might see a new low. If we go below the 37.4, then we will see lower lows than expected. But if we remain at this level, the 37.4, then it's completely fine. And we might even remain right below the 40K right before moving upward again. So we're going to keep this in mind. We're going to take a short look at what's happening over here every week from now on. We still have, let's say, three more weeks or so right before we are going to see an upward movement, maybe even a month, right? Before we're going to see an upward movement. So we keep this in mind, and this is going to be one of the most exciting months for now, right before we start a rally, or if we are going to start a rally, because if we're not, then we need to doubt this stock-to-flow model. So we keep this in mind for now. I would like to thank you for watching. Make sure to press the thumbs up if you like this video. And also I wanted to recommend you to take a look at the support links I have standing down below this video. I will put an information button over here as well. These support links are really interesting if you are a trader, if you are looking for a great platform to use. You can use them via my support links. I have arranged different discounts or trading free Bitcoin or so you can take a look at the links down below or via the information button over here. For now, I'd like to thank you. Make sure to don't forget to press the thumbs up button, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's Madelon Vos with a lower dash. On Twitter, it's Madelon Vos with 2 lower dashes. You can find me over here, and I will tweet about everything that's important when it comes to macroeconomics and Bitcoin. For now, I'd like to thank you. All the best. Have a great weekend from Portugal this time, and I hope to see you soon next week. Bye.